So today I want to share with you the biggest secret that employers don't want you to know. And if you're interested, stay tuned. We're getting started right now. And while we're playing the intro, put in the chat what you think it might be. We're getting started right now. Hey y'all, I'm Debbie Dobbins. I'm the Queen of Magic, and I am here to support women in having the most magical life they could possibly imagine. And today I want to share with you what the biggest secret is that employers don't want you to know. And frankly, some of them don't even know they don't want you to know. And what the heck could that possibly be? Well, here's what I want to start by saying first of all. I have been an advocate for entrepreneurship since I can possibly remember. And even when I was young and I had jobs, which I refer to a job as just over broke, even when I had those jobs, I had this entrepreneurial mind. I was there in order to show that I had more value than anybody else that they were going to hire. Now, here's what I want to do. I want to set the scene for you for just a minute of the history of our modern day world. Okay. I don't want to go back to the hunter and gatherers because, people get lost with that. But what happened was we colonized. We got together as societies. We decided that we wanted to not be hunter gatherers anymore. We wanted to be in collective community. We started growing crops. And as we grow crops, somebody has to tend those farms, right? So we had this hierarchical system. And around the turn of the 18th century, most workers that were doing things were out there in the fields. But we had this workforce that was doing work that then became valueless if you think about it. Because if you're farming for somebody else, right? And please, if you have attachment to this word, don't get attached when I say this. We put ourselves in a form of slavery because we're doing something for somebody else and supposedly getting benefit for it. But here's where the actual apex began to shift, because up until that point, you could still create value, right? You could make candles, or you could knit something, or you could create something of value and either sell it to somebody and get some monetary compensation, or what was more likely, you could trade for something of value, right? But your value was so intrinsic because you were attached to whatever it is that you were creating. Well, along comes the Industrial Revolution, right? That is, we think that's a really good thing because then things became automated, right? We had factories. We needed people to build roads and bridges and infrastructure and all of this stuff. And here's where the wheels fell off the wagon. If you trace all of this back to today, you're going to see what made the biggest difference. Put it in the chat if you know before I even say it. Drum roll. The clock. The clock is what made all of the difference. Because what ended up happening, and frankly, there was a period of time back at the turn of the 20th century where this idea of piecemeal came from. And I thought I would be the perfect person for piecemeal because I go fast. But the thing is that they threw that out, the baby out with the bathwater on that one, because we had to be attached to this clock. So what ends up happening is you begin to trade time for dollars, not your value, not your value. Can I get an amen?
Amen.
Not your value. You traded your time for dollars because your time is so valuable. But then we began to shrink it down into this thing called an hourly wage. So here's the clock. You go here on this clock. You give your time, which is extremely valuable, to somebody else because their idea of your value has nothing to do with you intrinsically. It has to do with the time that you put in. And one of the greatest things that they say that happened in the 20th century is unions. It's probably one of the worst things that ever happened, honestly, because it then put you, meaning you union workers, in this category of here is all your worth in this hourly context, right? And then a percentage of, insurance and benefits and things like that. But here is the worst thing you could ever do in your entire life is trade time for dollars, because you lose every bit of your knowingness of the value of who you are. And that, my lovely beauties, women, especially if you're over 40, you know exactly what I'm talking about. That clock has been trading your time for your dollars for so long. And I've said this so many times over decades that you cannot trade time for dollars. And even if you're making a great wage, right? Let's say that you make $100,000 a month, right? $1 million a year, $10 million a year. You're still trading your time for dollars. You still have that essence of, if I go and perform like frankly, a circus monkey, then I'm going to get this much. Instead of, what is your true value? How can you create your true value? And that is the biggest disparity that we have lost in this industrial revolution age through the clock. The clock is the master now. Even the clock is the master in school, right? Our kids, there's a bell that rings. You go here, you go there for a certain amount of hours. The whole component of learning has been extracted. That's why homeschooled kids get so much more dynamic learning than if you put yourself into this box. People say, get out of your box. Get out of your comfort zone is what that really means. Get out of your box. I was doing a training of some coal miners many, many years ago. And this one guy said, they were all doing some process on living in the box. And he said, I'm just gonna blow up the box. Because literally that's what you need to do, is you need to blow up the box. The box is the J.O.B, just over broke. And until you are willing to embrace your own value and worth, and know that when you put that out there, that it comes back to you in magical compensation. And that magical compensation may be money, it may be cash, it may be houses, it may be cars. We get so very attached to this thing called money, right? That money is going to buy you happiness. Abundance comes in so many forms. So many forms. It is astounding how many ways life can support you without you manifesting money. I love money's great. I do. Money's great. But money is a tool. Money is an energy tool to create what it is that you say you truly want. So that biggest secret that employers don't want you to know, because don't rock the boat, right? They come up with, I've been an employer, right? So I say a person that can do this function, right? This function, this is the value that I place on it. Is that the truth of the value of the person that I will hire? Probably not. Not if they're really good at what they do. But then what is important for an employer, a leader, to recognize is that when you show up, if you're still in that job mindset, when you show up to be that person in a J.O.B, that you are absolutely looked upon by that employer as valuable, as worthy, and as something that they are willing to give more of their value and worth to you to keep you. And if you're not feeling that and you're not experiencing that, stop pushing against it. Stop complaining about it. Really get clear about what your value and worth is. So I have a talk that I give to women, and the first thing that I ask them is, in your mind, and I want you to just close your eyes for a second, I want you to imagine in your mind what your value and worth is. And for purposes of this little activity, I want you to just do it in the dollar form, right? What is it that you think your value on this planet is worth, right? Is it $100 an hour? Is it $10,000 an hour? Is it $1 million an hour? Be realistic. I mean, we're all worth billions of value, but where is it right now? And then as you open your eyes, I want you to recognize that there is a big gap between what you believe your value is and what you're actually receiving from whatever it is that you're doing. And how do you close the gap? Well, that's on another video. So for now, I wanted you to know that the biggest secret that employers don't want you to know is that their value is not your value. So stay tuned, be magical, and there's all kinds of freebies in the body of this below. So check out some of my free meditations and free downloads. Bye.